folks, welcome to another video. Yes, I'm up here in a crane by the looks of it, or perhaps I'm just levitating. I've developed that skill in my old age, or I'm stuck to the bottom of a drone, or I'm in a hot air balloon, or yeah, something I prefer. Actually, I like the idea of being able to levitate. So let's run with that. Welcome to an old man levitating in a flight simulation video. Folks, I hope you're safe and well and enjoying your simming. This will be the first video for 2025 here on my channel anyway. And being filmed in 2024, and it features the 2020 sim, which is a bit confusing, isn't it? Although if you think that's confusing, just stick around, it's bound to get much worse. Folks, I've got a first impressions video for you to start the year, featuring the aircraft on your screen. This is the Sierra C24R. Thank you to the developer for including that detail on the fuselage. Very helpful for a forgetful old man. Sierra C24R, R for radical or retractable. One of those two, depending on whether you want to sound cool like me. The Beechcraft Sierra, developed by Flysimware, of course synonymous with other quality aircraft in the 2020 sim, being the Learjet and the Chancellor, Cessna Chancellor, both of which have featured in numerous videos on my channel in the last couple of years. And they released this one, I want to say, a few months ago now. And I've recently picked it up because I kind of have a I was not going to say a need for this. I kind of have a place for this in my virtual hangar. A low and slow tourer, low wing with good visibility. I want to do a little bit of touring. And this aircraft seems to fit my requirements. I've spent all of about 15 minutes in it to date. Took it up for some circuits earlier this morning, probably 15 minutes or so of circuits. Interesting experience. I'll kind of share that in the course of this video. It'll be an honest first impressions, folks. So this is not a sponsored video. I don't do sponsored videos of any sort. So any of my opinions are simply that. My opinions. No one's telling me what to say. My observations are based on my experience. Simple as that. Take that for what it's worth. But if you're on the fence about this aircraft, maybe this video will help you get off the fence. Maybe. I don't know. I guess at some point it'd be good to get off the fence because it kind of hurts. Well, I find it really difficult to balance on top of a fence at my age. So, you know, unless you've got a really thick fence where you can plant your ass and maintain your balance, but it's one of those bloody picket fence. You definitely want to get off the fence, folks. Don't watch this video. Don't wait. Just get off the picket fence. Hey, what did I say earlier about waiting around? This video gets more confusing. Hey, do I not deliver for you guys? We're now talking about picket fences. There you go. Got the door open here. Actually got all the doors open, don't we? Yeah, 3 doors. That's to let the smell out. And no, I'm not blaming Kingy for the stench. I take responsibility for my own smell. Kingy's the best smelling creature currently occupying this aircraft, by far. And he was when he was alive as well. Lovely smelling animal. Kingy, I miss him. But anyway, he lives on here in the sim. So first impressions, look at this aircraft, folks. Took it out for some circuits earlier. I'll share those thoughts with you. We'll go for a fly in this video as well. We're going to go from a place just outside of Melbourne, Australia, and about an hour's journey to the northeast from there. But let me quickly show you that flight plan, and then we'll get underway and do some flying. And here is the flight plan for today's journey. We are down under, as mentioned, sort of just outside of Melbourne, Victoria. Shout out to all of my Victorian viewers. Hope you're all well. The point of departure is a little place that you probably haven't heard of if you're not from around these parts. It's Coldstream Airport, Yankee Charlie Echo Mike. There'll be a link to the freeware scenery that I'm running. We've got freeware scenery at both our departure and our destination. Well, we've got an enhancement to our destination scenery. But yeah, there will be a link to everything that I use and that I can remember to share in the description as usual, folks. So out of Coldstream, we head northeast, overhead Healesville, and then Marysville, across the Tiger Country, towards our first or our next waypoint, which will be Mount Howitt. That's where we get some quite interesting. That's where terrain becomes a real issue for us. That's here on the vertical display. You can see the little aqua donut moving around. So our terrain clearance is at its lowest point around there. But we've still got enough to get across the hill, and we're going to be VFR. We'll just go around the big hill if we need to. And then up towards a place called the Widowmaker, or a feature called the Widowmaker. Now, I don't know what the Widowmaker actually is. We might find out en route, and I'll share that with you if I do find out. Across more Tiger Country, overhead the town of Smoko. How Australian a name is that? Smoko. My guess is that not a lot of work gets done in Smoko. Smoko, for those of you that are not Australian, yeah, for example, if you're American and you're working and it's time to take a break, you will say something like, I'm going to take a break. Well, here in Australia, we say, I'm going to take Smoko, or I'm going for Smoko. Smoko is essentially a break from work. Often accompanied by, well, at least back in the day, by actually smoking, lighting up a dart, having a durry, often accompanied by a pie, a meat pie, maybe a can of Coke as well. Smoko, that 10 to 15 minute break that you get every few hours from your job. Smoko, love it. And then from Smoko, we've got a very short run up to beautiful Mount Beauty. Now, Mount Beauty received the handcrafted treatment in the Australia World Update in the 2020 sim. There is also an enhancement pack, which is available, which, funnily enough, enhances it even further. So I'll link to that in the description. But that is our journey today, just over 100 miles, 105 miles. Yeah, probably take us about an hour or so in the Sierra. I'll share my thoughts during this first impressions video with you. I'll get us started and out towards a runway here at Coldstream, and then we'll do some flying. Alright, so engine start has been achieved. Just got to remember we've still got the chock set on the front, still got the doors open. We can address that momentarily through our tablet. Yep, comes with the tablet, just like other Flysimware aircraft. I quite like how Flysimware do their tablets. So I'll just first of all quieten things down by closing all the doors and get rid of those chocks. So we're now clean and ready to go. Now, how are we going to get out of here? This is where I need to levitate again. He's going to be an issue, or she, he or she, they. It's the safest way to go. Yeah, there's our runway out there. There's our path to the runway, I think. Yep. All right. So, folks, welcome on board. We are flying the G5, or one of the G5 liveries, so the Garmin G5 system here, combined with the GTN 750 over here as well, and the GTN 650 they throw in. So there's a fair bit of glass. It's a very digital panel. It's a modern panel for an aircraft that's, what, 50 or more years old? I'll just release the parking brake. We'll head out towards the runway. I'll just have a look at what the wind's doing. It's going to be crosswind. Probably 1.7 will do us. And I need a little bit more juicy to get us moving. We're just going to cut through this ramp agent here. More juicy to get us moving. Here we go. Now what I found, don't mind me fella, you're in my way mate, aircraft of right away. What I found during this morning's session of circuits is that this thing is really finicky on the ground. It feels like you're taxiing over ice, to be honest. This is a tight old fit to get through here, eh? Oh, a little bit more right. Hang on, we're going to miss that. We're going to miss it. Oh, piece of cake. Come on. Of course, now we've stopped. See the security van moving around nervously. Keep going, security. Thank you. All good here, mate. All good. There you go. I quite like being up here. Something different. I might do more videos from up here. What runway did I say I was going for? 1.7. Here we go. Which will be... Where's the runway? Oh, we got a... Okay, paved surface, paved taxiway, that's fine. As I was saying before I got distracted, it won't be the last time in this video, folks. Yeah, really challenging to taxi this thing. Very sensitive. And during the rollout, after landing, you know, doing touch and goes here, I got to tell you, I was fishtailing it all over the strip, and the crosswind was light. It was lighter than it is now, so I don't know whether that's if that's authentic to the aircraft. It feels, I don't know, it feels strange. It flies all right. Once you get in the air, it's all right. Get some flap happening as well. Now our transponder's already doing its transpondering. We can bring some landing lights in and some strobies, and they enunciate over here. That's good. We've got plenty of juicy. About 35 gals. That's enough for us to get up to Mount Beauty this morning. Local barrow is set. We don't have an altitude selected, and we'll just do that. Multitasking here, folks, always a dangerous thing. Just touching the left pedal, and she swings pretty bloody well. So we'll go at 5.5, I think was our plan. Now we'll get a heading bug, which is all the way back around the other side, so we'll move that around. I've got some hardware to do that. Come on, move around. About there. Alright, there we go. So heading bug's aligned. We've got a flight director happening. Do we have our trims sorted? We've got our flaps sorted. Now our trim is down here next to Kingy. Now where's takeoff trim supposed to be? I feel like it was too far forward. I know it doesn't, like it looks aft, and it is aft, but when I was doing my circuits earlier, it felt like we were trimmed, or at least we were very nose heavy or something. So I'm going to trim it a little bit further back. I think we're right to go. Kingy, what do you say, champ? You good? Attaboy. Should we do this thing, folks? We've got landing lights, we've got our transponder, flaps, trims, mixture fully rich. And let's see if we can keep this on the runway. It's not an exaggeration, folks. I really was struggling earlier. That's how we go. A little bit of aileron into the breeze. It's very light though. Full juicies now. Good sound. And she starts to wobble. Already. Airspeed's alive. See what's happening? He's real sensitive. Probably rotate about here, King, if we can. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. And it still feels like we're trimmed really nose down. Get up at about 80, climb out, try and find imbalance. Get rid of some flat. Come back on the juices just a little bit. Get rid of all that flap now. We'll make a left-hand turn out towards our first waypoint. Try and fly about 80 knots indicated. It feels like it's about best rate. You can tell that I haven't consulted the man. There's 80. It feels like it's got a bit of weight to it. Or it might just be the trim. It feels weird to me or something. And I'm interpreting that as weight. I don't know. There's a heading of about 030. Alright, we're gearing flaps up. And we'll get Georgie to do some flying so I can take an external for you. She wants to move around a bit. There's Georgie, autopilot. But Georgie's not doing anything. Or is he? No, he is. I need to get that heading bug sorted. We'll get into heading mode for Georgie. A bit finicky on the heading mode. Now we'll go vertical speed as well. And we'll climb out at about 500 feet a minute. Is that 500? 500, yeah. Okay. So far so good. And welcome to 5,500 feet over Tiger Country, this part of Victoria. Getting along the ground at a bit over 140 knots, so looks like we're tazzing at about high 120s, maybe pushing 130 at times. We're running at 24 squared, manifold and prop. We're burning through, a bit difficult to see these numbers. I've got to squint very hard. 13 gallons per hour. Yeah, we're sort of rolling the waves of air, riding the waves of air rather, as we traverse these hills. It is a little bit overcooked, the 2020 sim, and I do have turbulence turned down as well. But light aircraft, you're going to feel some bumps. We are 36 miles to the southwest of our next waypoint, and about 70 miles away from Mount Beauty. So actually making pretty good time at the moment. I thought I'd take the opportunity to kind of share some other thoughts about the aircraft and what they're worth. If you go to the Flysimware page, you'll see that there's basically there's more than two types of instrument panel, two variants. I say two because I count the G5 setup, which is this setup that I'm running with, and the G3X setup. I count them as they're the two main variants. What changes or adds to the number of variants is the gear that you put over here on the right. So you can have the 530 instead of the GTN 750, for example. The big G3X thing, for me, and I started my first flight this morning. When I first got this thing into the sim, I loaded up a G3X livery. I don't know, it didn't feel, I know it sounds strange, it just didn't feel right. I'm not a big fan of all glass stuff anyway. I would prefer personally that we just had steam gauges all the way through, personally, but I'm sure there's a reason that Mr. Flysimware hasn't allowed us to have that option. It's a great bit of kit, don't get me wrong. This is really well done. So great situational awareness. that sort of stuff. And if you owned a Sierra and it's 2025, you know, chances are you've probably equipped it with some mod cons. But yeah, personally, if I could influence Mr. Flysimware in any way, I would ask, pretty please, can we have just a pure steam gauge variant? It is what it is. Enjoying it for what it is. Texturing and all that sort of stuff is good. I really like what Flysimware do in terms of their visuals. I like that they include co-pilots, and we can also fill the back seats with packs as well. I like their tablet, as I mentioned earlier. Look at this, the markings. You know, it's a used aeroplane. Right? That looks pretty good. Right. Come down here into the footwells. Look at that. Scratches and scuffs and all that sort of stuff. Looks like my right pedal is depressed. And I don't mean sad. It does look like it, doesn't it? Or is that just how it normally sits? I don't know. What's going on down here? Oh, this thing's got a headset simulation, doesn't it, as well? Let's have a look at the tablet. Nice segue, mate. So smooth. Oh, I've got the overhead light on. I don't need that on. Headset filter. So let me just adjust my sound for a minute. And I'll put that on and see how the sound changes. Ooh. It's quite effective, isn't it? I don't know. I prefer to fly it with more sound. I'll just leave that off for the moment. Let's explore the tablet. That's the equipment. We've got the weather, wind speed display. There you go. It's moving around a little bit. Here's where you can configure your payload. Stick some bags in the back. Fuel situation, plenty of range, right in the middle or close enough in the CG. That's all good. Pre-flight checklist. Yep, you can be assured I skipped all of that. And oh, okay, you've got some standard metric in the units. Does that change? What does that change? I thought that might change. No, it's not going to change my baro settings. Don't need that. Show passengers, save the fuel state, sync payload. You can put click sound for the tablet. Nah, I don't need any of that. Get rid of view. Got the headset on now. Oh yeah, get used to that. Anyway, folks, I'll join you closer to our destination. As I said at the start of the video, and as I've mentioned in most of the first impressions stuff that I do, it's not an in-depth review or detailed look at an aircraft. I'm sure there are other videos out there that will take you through all the systems and give you a much, I don't know, stronger critique of the aircraft. I just give you an impression of what it feels like for an old fella who's flying a computer. I like the aircraft. I'm not liking the ground physics, the behavior on the ground. It doesn't feel right to me. I've never flown a Sierra, and I know there's issues in the 2020 sim with the whole ground physics, but this feels not right. So I think there's some work to do. But in terms of its what it's like in the air, I quite like it. So you may recall during the flight plan segment I mentioned a waypoint that coincided with a point of interest called the Widowmaker, and we're just kind of coming up on that here. Apparently it's a four-wheel drive track where people, a steep and treacherous four-wheel drive track where people have been killed driving their four-wheel drives, hence Widowmaker. There you go, folks. Education is included in some of my videos at no additional charge. And the education just continues, folks. You're looking at the town of Smoko. Smoko, Victoria. There she is. The campground's on the banks of the river. Smoko back that way. A lovely spot. Nestled in the valley, and Mount Beauty is just over here. You can see it, which means it's probably time to start our descent. Alright, on descent, folks. A late descent into Mount Beauty. We're coming down at a rate of knots, just a leisurely 2,000 feet per minute or so. We're in a bit of a slip. Whoop. Need to keep the juices in. Or we get that annoying sound. Thank you for the ding, for the chime. And it looks like we're going to land towards the northwest. We just need to give ourselves a fighting chance at a, I don't know, half-mile final or something. This valley, very conveniently placed for our flying pleasure. I'll just slip it in, get it under 110 knots, I think, or something before we can take flap. I might try and drop the gear to help us get down. The strip is sort of at our 11 o'clock position. Here we go, giving ourselves a final here, folks. That's where we're kind of headed. Out over here. I'm going to take gear at this point. There's the strip. We're good now. We can take a stage of flap. Overhead the town. That's where we're headed, folks, right here. Oh, we've got some hang gliders in the air. That's part of the enhancement pack. Pretty cool. We've got ourselves slowed down nicely. Maybe a little too nicely. Sharpish turn overhead the town. Don't want to get too much slower than this fella. Take a different view. Oh, paragliders. I thought, oh, the hang glider and a paraglider. One's just to the north of final, just here. How cool is that? I feel like we might have been here before in a video, folks. Anyway, concentrate, fella. 75 knots. We'll retrim. Retrim. Going to land straight into the breeze. Let's make this a decent one, hey? Runway 32 Mount Beauty, folks. Coming off the juices. She wants to sink into sink the nose, so I've got to hold it off. It's quite hard. Oh, a lot of back pressure there. That's alright. And here comes the squirrely ground behaviour. I've done a reasonable job of keeping it centred. Wind straight down the strip would tend to help that. Anyway, folks, welcome to Mount Beauty, Victoria. And this will conclude the first impressions look at the Beechcraft Sierra C24R by Flysimware. First impressions for what it's worth. Isn't that a lovely sight in the air? I could stay here all day. In fact, I'm gonna take a Smoko and sit right here and watch the action, folks. Thanks for your company in another video. Until we next meet, you stay well, enjoy your simming, and bye for now.